He was miserable, very tired of long hours, tired of the corporate rat race, as he described it, and was very worried about his job security. So his company was about to start going through layoff, and so he was looking for options.
Hi, I'm Mark Schnurman. I'm the founder of The Perfect Franchise, and welcome to The Perfect Match. This is our series where we take you behind the scenes of real franchise placements, and the only time I read a script. In each episode, you'll meet one of our consultants, in this case, David, and the franchise developer, in this case, Timothy, who work together to help one of our clients find the right business for themselves. You're going to learn what made the brand a great fit, how the process unfolded, and what really happens in successful placements, how we overcome the challenges that a client may have, the fears, the anxieties, and how we help them change their life through business ownership and franchising. So whether you're exploring franchising or just curious how these decisions are made, you've come to the right place. So, like I said, so we have David with us. He's a consultant with the Perfect Franchise, one of the top consultants in America. Which, if you knew him, you'd be surprised, but he really is. And we have Timothy, who again surprised. He's an amazing developer, does a good job, and the brand is Floor Coverings International, which is one of our favorites, and each of the last few years has been one of the brands that we've had the most placements with, and our clients have succeeded at the highest level. And so, strong relationship, and we appreciate you Timothy, and Floor Coverings. With that in mind, just a reminder of the perfect franchise mission. We don't sell franchises. What we do is we help candidates understand whether franchising and business ownership is an option that's going to make their life better. If it does, we'll recommend it and we'll walk them through the process. And if it doesn't, we'll wish them the best of luck. So it's not about the franchise, it's about the life that people want to live. So, with that said, David, if I could turn it over to you, if you can tell us a little bit about your clients, goals, objectives, skills, strengths, challenges, areas of interest, and why they were looking at franchising in the first place.
Yeah, yeah, happy to do so. Thanks for the introduction, Mark. Happy to be here. Yeah, when Morgan came to me, I would say, was very similar to a lot of the clients I get in corporate America. Very frustrated with the grind, the hours, worried about job security, and looking to go in a different direction. So his background had been he was active Army for 5 years, got out, kind of had an entrepreneurial itch to begin with, but decided to go the corporate route because he could make more money. And so he kind of gave up on the entrepreneur dream, went to corporate, um, and was very successful, became an executive in the agriculture space, um, and but he was miserable, very tired of long hours, tired of the corporate rat race, as he described it, and was very worried about his job security. So his company was about to start going through layoffs, and he was expecting at least 10% of their company to get laid off. And so he was looking for options, and so we talked about what he was looking for. Morgan is a high achiever. He is a guy that wants to excel at everything he's done, and he has. And so he was looking for something that he could dive into full time, build a team, build an incredible business. And so as we were talking, home services, we hit on immediately as probably the right direction for him because he wanted to be full time, wanted to get started immediately. And then when he says, "Hey, I want to build something big. I want to build something that I can scale, something that I can grow," Floor Coverings International is an obvious choice. It's a brand that we work with, as you said, all the time. Incredible track record with them and helping their clients grow and scale. And made the introduction over to Timothy, and he took it from there. Really started to educate him on the brand and what it was all about. And it was kind of love at first sight. I think from the first check-in call, he had really zeroed in on Floor Coverings International as the one that he was really excited about from the get-go.
That's awesome. And sounds like he brings two of the sort of check marks of candidates in franchising. One is the military background. Military veterans are overrepresented in franchising, and then the disgruntled corporate executive. So a lot of that. So that's great. So Timothy, what was your initial impression when you met Morgan?
Yeah, he was awesome. We're looking for kind of four major things when we look at a potential franchisee that they have a preference to lead They're not looking just, and that goes into building something big and scalable so that they really do want to build a team. They want to be involved in the community. Culture is a real big deal for us at Floor Coverings International. I know a lot of companies throw that around, but we really spend that first conversation just getting to know them and what's their family like and all those sorts of things, because we're going to be working side by side with these guys on a regular basis. So are they engaged in the community? Do they want to do those things? Obviously, they got to have the work ethic. The military background, also plays into that. My son is leaning very close to joining the Coast Guard coming up here at the end in the summer. So we'll see how that goes. But and his whole thing is, I want the discipline that comes with that. It's exactly what we see with people that are former military. And then decisive. The ability to make a decision. Those are kind of things. And from that first conversation with Morgan, I knew, and I called David and I told him, I said, this guy's going to do something. The decision has already been made before he even talked to me. It wasn't even about Floor Coverings International. He was going to do something. So I loved the background. I loved the fact that he was a high achiever, as David mentioned. He was making a very, very good wage. And so to walk away from that, he had to see that potential of what it looked like. But that's what I felt from that very first conversation. He checked our boxes.
That's awesome. And so as we go through the process, two different relationships are forged. One with the consultant, in this case David, right? And clients will tell them, candidates will tell them one thing, and Timothy, as on the development side, because you're representing the brand and you're giving them information in a different way, they'll tell you, some different things. And so working together is critical. So I'd be curious, start with David. What are some of the challenges as you went through this process with Morgan? And then Timothy, if you want to share, and then if you guys want to talk about how you overcame them working together.
Yeah, I think one of the interesting things about what Morgan was looking at with Floor Covering International was actually it was a resale. So it was an existing location, and it was a location that had struggled, had not really performed well. I think the owner wasn't super active in the business, and so you're talking about a guy who wants to build something big and very successful, and he's evaluating a potential business that he's going to buy that has struggled, right? And so he has to be able to see past what it has done in the past, and what it could be in the future. And so we talked about that, and I think working with Timothy and helping him to understand, hey, these are some of the deficiencies that were going on, but with your leadership, with your management, this is what it can grow to. And Tim, you can maybe talk a little bit more about that, but that was one of the things that we were overcoming in this deal.
And first of all, Morgan was smart enough to see what he was looking at. That's the first thing, right? But still, you're looking at numbers, and it wasn't a complete train wreck of an opportunity, but it was not doing what, when you looked at the area and you looked at how long the operator had been there, you just were like, how is it not better than this? And so, and I'm going to actually say that's kind of a place that we at Floor Coverings International are going to, about raising the bar on who we bring in. People like Morgan, who took that business and, without saying the specific numbers, took it from where it was to more than a little bit more than two times the revenue in the very first 12 months. But how do we get him to, again, smart enough to see it, but also got him talking to other franchisees, some who had taken over an existing business similar to this, right? Like, and if I had somebody right now looking at an underperforming franchise location, Morgan would be one of the people I'd recommend. Hey, talk to Morgan, right? See what he did. Listen, and we have a community of franchisees. So the franchisees really do participate in the discovery process as part of validation calls, and they want to make sure we're bringing in the right people. So that was a way we got to do that, is talk to people that took over an existing location and talk to people that didn't, that were in the same timeline that the previous owner had been, and where were they in their business in comparison.
Yeah, no, that's great. And one of the things that's really hard for people is when they look at a location that's underperforming, it's hard not to think, oh, maybe it's a different location, it would have done better, whatever it is. At the end of the day, 99% of the variability in any franchise system comes down to the franchisee. And one of the things that we say at the Perfect Franchise is when our candidates are validating, we want them to learn about the processes and systems, but it's less about learning from validation whether you want to do something and more about how do you supercharge it. Assume you're going to join when you're validating, assume you're going to join a brand, and then you're talking to people, what are the levers you can pull, or the dials you can turn to supercharge the launch? What would you have done differently at the beginning? What are the things that caused you to struggle a little bit? And if you, and clearly Morgan had that mindset, but if you go through it that way, you come out energized from validation as opposed to, maybe not. And that's powerful. So I love that you guys did that. So at the end of the day, Timothy and David, we'll start with Timothy this time. Why did Morgan choose floor coverings?
Well, it's interesting because he said he had looked at several, for sure, like everybody does. And his comments were, this is the absolute most organized and most professional franchise company that I've looked at. And really said the support, and said the coaching that comes with it. So that training, we do 2 months of training before they even open. Even with an existing operation, they go through the exact same training. So there's a full 2 months of training before they open, and then there's a two-part but 2-year training and education from the time they take on over that first 2 years. So, and very heavy in that first year, of very proactive in driving those things. So what he saw was that was deficient in a lot of other franchise concepts that they were looking at. And add to the fact that, we've been around for 35 years. We're the 5th largest flooring company in North America. Our NPS score, our Net Promoter Score, is the highest by far in the industry, and higher than some very well known like Disney and Apple and so forth. So all of those things, and wanting to provide a good customer service and a good quality product, was why those were kind of the check boxes for him.
No, that's awesome. And the one thing you left out is Americans spend more money every year on floors than any other home service, which I don't know
Yeah.
that people know that, but amazing statistic.
Hmm.
David, from your perspective.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I would echo everything Timothy just said, and I think to the point that you made a moment ago, the great thing about Morgan was after he did validation, after he saw the potential in the business, he clearly stated, I see what the potential is here. And his goal was always, I don't want to be average. I want to be top 10%. And to get there, this is exactly what my plan is. This is my marketing spend. I'm spending more than they say I have to spend because I want this thing to take off and grow fast. And he saw it, he believed it, and now he's gone out and he's executed on it. And as Timothy just said, his results have been tremendous.
Yeah, if you want to see it, you have to believe it. And too often people join, so he executed on what he heard. Too often people join brands and they'll be like, yeah, I don't want to spend that much on marketing. And right, and then the moment they make that decision, they set themselves up for failure. Uh, so David, I was actually thinking that you were going to say something else. One of the other reasons that Morgan joined was because Timothy did an amazing job. And just so we all know, when a developer does an amazing job, it's not because they sell anybody on a concept. It's because they educate them, make sure they're understanding the information right, assimilating information, analyzing it, and really are eyes wide open in terms of what they're going into. And so Timothy does a great job with that, and I know David does too. And you guys set Morgan up for success, and clearly we're seeing that. So I appreciate both of you. Any final words from either of you?
Yeah, I had one comment. Morgan got in, and I think he was probably 6 months in at the time. And not only did he love what he was doing, and it was doing what he expected, he actually referred a friend of his that he had known for over 20 years to David, to say, hey, obviously I'm doing Floor Coverings International, but work with David and see if this is the right fit. And it was, and she fell in love as well with FCI, and is now a franchisee as well. So, you think about the, to your point, what you just said about David being great through the process. so much so that he referred somebody, literally, he's known for, I think it was 25 years, to work with him through the process. And of course, we're excited for what she's going to do as a franchisee as well in the same market. So they're not exactly side by side, but they're in the same market, and he's excited for her to be joining the co-op that we have there in that market.
That's amazing. That's a testament to the brand and David, right? Because
Hmm.
Morgan was onboarded when he did that, and he's liking everything he's saying. So that's a great testimonial. David, any final
Yep.
thoughts?
Yeah, and it was in large part her conversations with Morgan and the experience that he'd had with FCI, the training, the support, how well he was doing. That really gave her the confidence to say this is the right fit for me as well. And now, like they're excited to partnership within the same market. It's a very very cool story. So it just it's one of the reasons why as a consultant I continue to show floor covering international, because when I do and I have my clients move forward with them, I get these types of things that happen. I get the great feedback. I love this business. I love the culture. They do really well. And that's, we want to set our clients up for success. We want to make sure they're with the very best. And I think that's what FCI is.
Awesome. Timothy, David, I appreciate you. I just want to throw one other thought in there is that a lot of times, you know, eh, people out there, you're looking at a franchise and you talk to somebody and they did this and they had success in it. So you start leaning that way, or maybe they didn't have success, so you lean away. How somebody else performs in a franchise, whatever the franchise is, means absolutely nothing. It's how are you going to perform? And if you don't think, based on that system, based on that model, that you're going to perform in the top 25% of that brand, don't look at it. And so in this case, it seems like they were both a good fit, but you have to go through the process yourself, ask all the questions, the validation, the FDD review, the unit economics, everything, and learn it yourself because it's your business, not somebody else's. So whether they love something or don't love something has pretty much no impact on you. With that said, appreciate everybody watching The Perfect Match. If you're thinking about franchising or just want to understand what the options might be for the right fit and kick the tires a little bit, we'd love to help. David's always available. You could reach out to me. I could refer you to one of our consultants. Also, subscribe to our channel for more insights, success stories, and franchise education. And if you're ready to take the next step, again, reach out to either David or me, and start the next chapter of your life. We'll see you at the next Perfect Match episode. Thanks, everybody.